a slight change in sensations, but it did, right? It's more like we're more present, and of course we're paying attention to the guy talking. But did you get a chance to do it? Go ahead. Just inhale through your nose and try to drive the air to the bottom of the lungs. That'll feel like your belly protruding for that time being of the inhale. And then lock the air in for 3 seconds and then exhale, all nasal. Not only the lower areas of your lungs, but also try to bring it up. After you've achieved this first, then you bring it up, and resulting into a gentle shrugging of the shoulders at the end of the inhale. And then, I forgot to say, drop the shoulders after the inhale. You can do a couple more cycles of it, guys, as I let her do a few as well. And then on the exhale, we can exhale also through the nasal passages and let it sound like deep throat, sort of Darth Vader-ish sound. There you go. So we're listening to the breath, even with our mouth closed. Mi hermanito, un segundo favor, pásame el parlante que está allá atrás cuando puedas, que este se acaba de descargar, y conéctame lo que es el JBL4, porfa. Couple more breaths, and then we'll go into the forward of the workshop. Yeah, couple more breaths together as a group. Posture is important. Back should remain straight, torso straight, shoulders, you can roll them back a little bit, so a little bit of puffing that chest up, all stack aligned, neck, torso, and hips, and also shoulders relaxed. So thank you guys, welcome. Now after the little breathing exercise, I'm going to say a few words, okay? The intention for this workshop is to flip the equation for those who are in the same boat of chest, fast, mouth breathing. Does anyone relate to that? Please raise your hand. I'm going to start by me. Yes. Mouth breathing, short breaths, superficial or shallow. Anyone? And just do a mental exercise of trying to figure out what's the percentage of the time during a day where you feel like you go into that pattern. Is it 80%? Is it 20%? Do you become aware of this and you stop yourself from doing it and shift the equation and take deeper breaths nasally if you're aware of the nasal breathing benefits, and bring it lower to the bottom third of your lungs where the most volume is, where the most gas exchange happens? Just think about that for a minute and we'll start from there. Honestly, I'm at a 50-50 now, and I'm a facilitator. That's how tough it is to rewire yourself at a neuromuscular level when you've been breathing in a certain way or doing anything for a certain way for so many years. So to begin with, whatever you feel like it's of use for you after this workshop, hopefully you'll take it with you and apply it daily if possible, if you want to achieve the results of restoring the balance on your breathing. And I'm just going to throw a couple of philosophy thoughts here. Breath is the first and the last thing. When we're born and when we check out, we inhale, we exhale. In between, it is what we do the most. Anywhere from 20 to 23,000 times per day, we inhale, exhale. And on top of that, if you boil it down to the most vital element to survive in this world, it'll be air. So you can leave food at third, water at second, air. Tell me how many minutes do you think you can survive without breathing, roughly speaking?
3.
There you go. 3 is a good number. So the same will apply maybe for water, 3 days. For food, 3 weeks maybe, roughly speaking. And well, you can add sunlight and social bonding and all of that, but some people live without sunlight for 6 months, you know. But that's to boil it down in a philosophical way to how important it is, the air that we breathe. Sometimes all we need is the air that we breathe, right? Just like the song. And so how do we utilize that air? How are we extracting that 21% of oxygen contained within that air that we breathe in, right? How much of that oxygen is actually going into our cells to make them function better? So there's a few little hacks, and I'd say hacks, although it's a very trendy word right now, but there's a few little techniques that will just improve the way in which your system is using that oxygen, which is only 21% in most of the cases, open air. Even at higher altitudes, where actually what drops is the atmospheric pressure, not the volume of oxygen itself. So it's harder for us to bring it in. All right, friends, we're gonna do a series of exercises. I'll just walk you through them verbally, and then we'll start the practice. First of all, we're going to breathe diaphragmatically with your most important muscle of the respiratory or breathing muscles, the one that sits underneath your lungs, and it acts as a pump or piston, enabling the lungs to stretch downwards as an accordion, a wind instrument, and also squeezing the air out, right? Visualize that. The bottom of the lungs, which is where most of the volume is, most of those alveoli or alveolis, the air sacs with capillaries that will absorb and diffuse the oxygen into your body, are sitting there waiting for air, right? In the bottom third, as you have seen the depiction of lungs, they're wider on the bottom, right? And so that's the area that even visually hints at us that is the most important, because of how much it can contain and how much it can treat, how much it can absorb and also release, which will be the CO2 on your exhale, right? So that's the area we want to tap in first every time we breathe. I tell you, 99% of the times, this is where we should start, is the bottom of the lungs. And how do we get there? Engaging the diaphragm, which is the muscle, again, that acts as a pump or a piston that's attached to that bottom. It's right underneath it. Does it make sense? It'll pull it down and push it up on every inhale and exhale. Visualize that. You have that piston or pump down here, helping the lungs, again, to expand on its main area, which is the bottom. There is a second advantage of that muscle being engaged, which is the parasympathetic activation, is your rest, digest, and recover mode. Since that muscle is attached to the brain or connected via a cranial nerve called the vagus nerve, nerve number 10. And that's the one, like almost a string, where you pull from, and it rings in the brain, and it says, hey, release the feel-good hormones. Feel-good hormones, there's many of them. They'll make you relax your muscles, lower your heart rate. There's better blood flow everywhere, including your GI tract, your gastrointestinal, and the whole body. So that'll be a great recovery tool, by the way, after you've gone into exercise loads. Part of your recovery could be or should be diaphragmatic breathing to increase the parasympathetic tone, which will help with the recovery. We'll start with that. We'll move up to the ribs, and we're going to do teams of 2 to squeeze on each other's ribs and force those intercostal muscles to engage and expand the rib cage. This is your lateral now, lateral breathing. This is how the rib cage, helped by those muscles in between, will expand, and thus helping the lungs again to gather more air sideways, not only downwards as the diaphragm did, but sideways and back also. And then finally, we're going to move up to the, say, thoracic area, the accessory muscles of breathing, medically term called accessory muscles, your pectoral minor, your trapezius, your sternocleidomastoid, your neck, traps, and shoulders and chest muscles, which will allow you to now stretch or push the air upwards towards the tip of those lungs. So at the end of it, guys, all in all, we're having full expansion of the lungs. And before we start the exercise, I'd like to ask you about biomarkers for good health and longevity. Can you name a few? These days it is a hot topic out there in the wellness industry, and even the youngsters now are becoming more aware of it. Does anybody know any of the biomarkers? Some are visible, some others are just trackable by wearables and whatnot. You cannot see them, you can feel them. Anybody? Any?
Sleep monitoring.
Sorry?
Sleep monitoring.
Sleep monitoring for sure. Like, yeah, like how much REM you got, how much deep sleep, what was your latency, right? Like how quick did you fall asleep, how many sleep cycles you got. That's great. Anything else? Sorry?
Rest support rate.
That's a great one. You actually connected right to the one where you wake up. That's the best moment to measure your resting heart rate, right? Most likely when you wake up. And yeah, so sleep, resting heart rate, that's great. HRV, heart rate variability, exactly. How much your heart is able to adapt to the different inputs, you know, that the nervous system receives during the day. The higher the score, the better your HRV. One good measurement to see how much you're recovering, how well you're recovering. That's great. Heart rate variability. Anything else? Well, we're doing great. We got 3 key ones. There's more.
Recovery.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that'll be measured via, you know, anecdotal experience and also you can.
Heart rate recovery.
Yeah, heart rate variability is a measuring, you know, gauge. That's one. Yeah, as you said, and resting heart rate also. Yeah, if your resting heart rate is super high, that means that there's a lot of stress maybe that you have to. No, that's good. Please, contributions. Everybody, just give me a few more. Yeah, constant blood pressures, of course. That's another big one. Anything else? I'm trying to get to one that we're working on today.
Breathing.
Yes, but anything else? Capacities. Lung capacity. That's right. Your lung capacity. Not only the volume, how many liters can you bring in? How much can you stretch your lungs? And you know what that lung capacity is dependent on? Is the strength of the muscles that surrounds the lungs. Because the lungs on their own cannot do the expansion and contraction. They can't because they're organs, they're not muscles, they're organs.
So when we're working on like breath holds and things and lung capacity, it's more about the strength of the diaphragm than the actual volume of the lungs.
Both.
Okay.
Because breath holds, for a good breath hold, you first of all need to bring your heart rate down, right? Low. And that is achievable by diaphragmatic breathing, which sets this parasympathetic tone, you know, at a better level. And then you have to have also that strong muscle around the lungs, you know, muscles that are trained in order to really expand the lungs so you can bring in the most volume you can. Use the volume to its maximum, because every milliliter of air that goes in has oxygen that your cells rely on to be able to be sustained throughout the duration of the breath hold. So yes, exactly. So guys, all in all, that's one big one. There's other stuff like grip strength nowadays. People are talking about grip strength, and there's some other things. There's strength tests, you know, and mobility tests, you know, like how are you able to get up from the floor without touching the floor and stuff like that. But lung capacity is one big one, guys, and we're working on it today, okay? We are going to activate and strengthen and train those muscles around the lungs just so your breaths are more powerful. And so you can engage and also isolate, if you need, all the areas. And all the areas, I mean 3 areas, which is, welcome Sally. I knew I had to stretch this talk for a little longer so no one misses the physical exercises. My intuition never fails me. In the back of my head, I'm like, dude, you're talking a little bit too much. They're gonna start falling asleep. But no, welcome, my friend. So, sum it all up, we are working today on strengthening and activating and creating muscle memory and control on the belly, ribs, and chest, otherwise known as diaphragmatic breathing, intercostal breathing, and pectoral or thoracic or accessory muscle breathing, okay? Guys, we're gonna throw a couple of breath holds, okay? One is coming pretty soon. It is going to be the first exercise we do is a breath hold. Then we're going to isolate and work on each of the 3 areas that I just mentioned. And then we're gonna throw in a second and last breath hold. We will compare the time of the first versus the second, and 99% of the times, I'll tell you, the second one is higher, and that is a measuring element of how much adaptation did you create throughout the exercises. Does that make sense? Am I coming through? Okay, so, and that'll be mental adaptations, so psychological adaptations, ways to navigate through a breath hold and discomfort that kicks in a little later in your breath hold, okay? It's important to know also that the first phase of your breath hold is actually very pleasant, very relaxing, and it is due to a physiological response. It is basically the mammalian dive reflex. Although we're not in water, just by holding your breath, we activate something called the mammalian dive reflex, which simply by holding your breath, you can start triggering it. You can start stimulating it. Yeah, dive, exactly. Mammalian dive or marine mammal instinct. Marine mammal instinct, mammalian dive reflex, which first trait is bradycardia or lowering of the heart rate when holding the breath, okay? Then if you add water, it becomes even better. So that trend of putting your face on a cold bowl, on a cold water bowl, actually lowers your heart rate because of that, because the brain tells the body or the heart, hey, slow down because we're underwater. So it is a mechanism of self-preservation, right? And you can trigger it willingly, voluntarily, so that's great. But just by holding your breath, you start digging a little more into and stimulating that reflex, just by holding your breath. That's the first phase, and you want to make that phase last as long as you can. You want to utilize that moment to make it a mindful, meditative, really relaxing state of mind. Then when the discomfort kicks in, is a different game. That's more of a mental, physical resilience game in which you know discomfort or that hormetic stressor is making you stronger, as we discussed yesterday on the cold plunge and sauna. Anyhow, guys, without further ado, we're all going to lay comfortably on our backs. I'm going to have my stopwatch ready, and here's how we're going to do this. Here's how we're going to do it. You can choose to use the bolster or not. I would say try with the bolster first. On the second breath hold, we're going to try, on the second breath hold later, we're going to try and be as flat as possible, okay? But for now, use the bolster. And this is how it's going to be, guys. Please pay attention to this so you don't miss on your time. I'm going to count down, and when I get to one, we're going to do a breath hold, yeah. When I get to one, when I say one, everybody at unison at the same time, takes a deep breath. Do you want me to bring a little towel so you can place it around on your face? Let me know how it feels. Here. Yeah, is that good?
That's great.
Not blocking your nose so you can breathe. Guys? Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to start a countdown. When I get to one, everybody takes the deepest breath of their lives, if possible, of your lives, and then hold it for as long as possible, as you can. Now, guys, when you have to breathe again, that means you're going to have to exhale, right? And in that moment, when you have to exhale, when you start breathing again, I want you to raise your hand. Either it's left or right, raise one hand so I can see that you're breathing again and I can point out your time. And please take a note, mental note of that time, and just keep it there for the record so we can compare on the second one. Everyone's clear on that? Remember to raise your hand. If somebody if somebody feels the need to exhale a little bit because you feel like your last breath was just a lot of air and you feel pressure, you're welcome to exhale a tiny bit. But know that that tiny bit of air that you're exhaling to feel more comfortable has vital oxygen that you need to sustain your breath hold. So give yourself time, just like on the cold plunge. After the minute and a half, you start feeling more, cruising speed, if you will, cruising altitude. Same with breath holding. You take that last breath in, you feel a lot of pressure. Just give yourself 10, 15 seconds before you exhale and see how you feel. And so here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and ready? 1. Deep breath in, and off we go. Good job, everybody. We are at 30 seconds. And that was 35. Good. We are getting close to 1 minute, and that was 47 seconds, Marcus. Good job, guys. It's going to be 54, 56. Keep those numbers in your head. 101. Sally, good job. 105, 105. The two of you, 105. 110, 111. Anna, good job. Good job, everybody, regardless of your time. 116, 117. 116 and 117. Second breath hold, you're going to be surprised. And this is 125. Good job, breathe in and out. Those who are breathing out, just breathe deep for a handful of cycles with a lot of emphasis and strength so we offload extra CO2 buildup in our bloodstream. Good job, everybody. I feel like there's one or two people still holding, and I'm just making sure that we're on the safe side and not disrupting any breath hold. And we're at 2 minutes, and please correct me if I'm wrong, everyone is breathing. Yes. Otherwise, somebody would have just raised their hand saying no. Okay. Good job, everybody. Guys, let's, in the position that we are, work with diaphragmatic breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing, you place your dominant hand on the lower belly. That's where your belly button is, basically. And you want to inhale so that the hand goes up. So you're driving the air down to the bottom of the lungs and again engaging that diaphragm. And as a result, you'll notice your hand moving up, okay, on that inhale. And let me tell you, we're going to use mouth breathing only for the purpose of training. Why? Because mouth and trachea has more suctioning power, has more traction, right? That's the pattern for your inhale. O-shaped lips to restrict the airflow, so you make that muscle work and it has to engage to bring the air in. Now the belly protrudes, you hold it for 3 seconds, you press out even further, almost like if you want to spit the air through the belly button. And then you start your long, slow S sound exhale, 3-4 times longer than your inhale. That is the diaphragmatic breathing technique, one version of it that free divers use to lower their heart rate before they dive deep, or they hold their breaths for a long time on a static breath hold. So we're actually doing both mouth, in and out through the mouth, yes. Why is that? Because on the exhale, by pursing your lips or emitting that S sound, pressing the tongue against the roof of your mouth, you can restrict the airflow out as well. Not only in by the O-shaped lips pattern, but on the way out through that, again, S sound. You can regulate, you can control that flow. And importantly, keeping always that positive pulmonary pressure, right? When you're exhaling, just analyze the sensation of the lungs, and you can still feel the pressure. Even as the exhale is going on, you can still feel pressure inside, right? You can feel a little bit of an activation on your obliques, on your abdominal transverses, all the abdominal area. Well, let me tell you that this keeps the alveoles or alveoli open. As you exhale even, you're still receiving good oxygen, fresh oxygen into your system, right? So keep doing it. Little by little, I'm going to bring in yoga blocks, and then we're going to replace our hand by a yoga block. And then we're going to use our lower peripheral vision, since your head is on a pillow, on a bolster, to notice how that yoga block is also doing what your hand is doing now. Raising and falling, raising and falling. So I'm going to place a yoga block at everybody's right side. And as you hear the yoga block landing on your right side, you can go ahead, grab it, and now replace your dominant hand by that yoga block. You can place it in a place where it's not going to slide and fall, and you can use it as an indicator now. And at a visual level, again, through your lower peripheral vision, you can check that block raising as high as possible, and falling as low as possible. That's something that I forgot to point out, is also as high as you can and as low as you can, you should lift and drop the block. Lift the block and drop the block as deep, as high, and as low as you can. So that'll be you engaging your diaphragm to the best of your ability for now, to the best of your potential. Again, benefits of diaphragmatic breathing like this: your parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system gets a nice activation, thus lowering the heart rate, relaxing the muscles, improving blood flow throughout the whole body, making the decision making, by the way, more accurate also. This is great, guys. If anybody happens to have a heart rate monitor in the wrist, maybe you can check if the heart rate has gone anywhere different. And as you keep going for one more minute, just work also on relaxing fully the whole body. Almost a Shavasana yoga pose is probably the best, and I see some of you are already adopting that pose. Good job, everyone. Sorry.
It's longer the exhale, shorter the inhale. Because the inhale, it's only like 3 seconds, 2 seconds, maybe. It's like a nice pool of air. Yeah, you really want to give it a lot of power and then slowly release with pressure outwards, which is regulated by your, so you're pushing off of your abdominal area and your obliques. You can feel that nice tension. That's good activation also for pelvic floor and abdominal. Yeah, you can feel it. That's great. Yeah, Kegel is great. And hypopressive, those correlate. Yeah.
Good job, everybody. And this will be, guys, a very good breath if you need to take a break during the day. If you don't have the chance to lay and have a yoga block, just use your hand and sit comfortably somewhere and just do it, even sitting, okay? No, Mai, otra vez no, bro. No puede estar pasando esto, bro. This is, I am very sorry about this. Very sorry about this. It's all good. It's just a little water. It's just a little water, guys. Just a little water. Sorry. It's just a little water. Maya, avísale a Eric, porfa. Avísale a Licho y a Eric, porfa. Okay. Okay. Hey, we lost more at war. We're good. You know what? A good laugh is good for serotonin and dopamine release. So we got it all planned for you to bust a little laugh, and we're all good. Okay, it's just water. Comes in nice with this heat, right? Perfect. Friends, we are now dropping those blocks next to us. And now we are comfortably sitting in legs crossed position. Analyzing bodily sensations again. Look inwards, close your eyes for a few seconds and notice if there's anything that changed after that exercise you just did for 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing. And if, again, you have wearables that can track your heart rate, it'll be nice, it'll be interesting to see what they say. Okay, so we just activated the diaphragm. We just gave it a nice, nice expansion to the lower areas of the lungs, right? The bottom third. Now we're moving up. And for that, we're going to pick a couple or team member or buddy to literally squeeze the ribs as hard as possible while they try to breathe now, deactivating the lower belly now. So we're going to try and keep it in, keep it flat. Keeping those shoulders down just so the breath doesn't escape upwards. And breathing in again on a very intentional mouth inhale. And now all that energy and all that flow is going to direct towards the center, towards the lateral breathing that your intercostal muscles will facilitate. And so for that, I'm going to grab somebody strong that I can use as a modal. Yes. And so this is basically what you're doing. You can be crouching like I am. You can be sitting legs crossed. Maybe use your legs to push, help your arms to also be able to push a little harder. And Marcus, just breathe in strong. You can see my hands moving out, right? Do it again. Exhale. I did. Well, before I pointed it out, maybe not, but after I pointed out, exhale fully. Can you see them going back in? One more breath. Great. You know, I'm using his white, nice shirt where my hands can actually be very visible, and his strong, rib cage to show you guys how much this could be a thing. So thank you for helping. How much this could be a thing, guys. The ribs will expand thanks to the layer of inspiratory muscles that we have in between the ribs. We also have a layer of expiratory muscles. These are the ones that will help you to squeeze in. But most importantly, we want to train the ones to inhale, the inspiration muscles or inspiratory muscles. Why? Because all in all, put together with the diaphragm and with the accessory muscles, they're going to facilitate for a better volume, for a higher volume of air to come in. The higher the volume, the more oxygen that goes in, the better you're utilizing the oxygen, even the more that you can float. There's even a little hack for surfing. If you are surfing with boards that are short and they're not offering all that flotation, before you paddle for your wave, you take a deep breath and then you come float a little bit, because some portion of the body is in touch with the water still. And so that part of the body comes, it kind of like relieves or releases the board off of weight, and then you glide easier through water. And body surfers, like people who just surf with their body, not bodyboard, but body surf, that's 100% what they do at takeoff. When they want to catch the wave, they become a balloon, basically, of sorts. And then they swim, and then they stick their head out, and then they glide. Yeah, so there's many applications for having a proper usage of your lungs. Many applications. Lichito, ni lo toques, porfa, ahorita. ¿Lo vas a apagar, es? Ok, gracias. Era por si ibas a tocar las manguerillas. Ya yo las enterré, las tiré por allá. Our apologies for the water circumstance. Friends, let's join in pairs, teams of 2. And let's do the same thing that I did with Marcus. Teams of 2, and let's, however you want to, however you feel like. If anybody doesn't have a team partner, I'll volunteer. Okay, let's do a quick recap for everybody. Once everybody is in position, and let me know if you need me. Okay, if there's okay, everybody's got a couple, a team. That's perfect. You're gonna have to bear hug this guy. Hey, bear hug, bear hug. Okay, so recap before we start pressing on the ribs. It's going to be.
So all we're doing is.
Yeah, but keeping those shoulders down. So, okay, everybody pay attention. We're going to keep the shoulders down so the air doesn't escape to the upper areas of the lungs. And we're keeping the belly in, okay? So don't let the belly go out as we were doing on the diaphragmatic, because there's a total different area that we're working with. It is the lateral. So almost automatically, at a mechanical way, we're forcing the air to go into this direction, okay? Laterally.
Keep it basic. We're breathing in.
Keep it basic, yes. Breathe in, shoulders down. Okay, 3 seconds, hold right there and press out. Like you're making yourself feel and look more robust, okay? Oh, the hands are going to feel that. And then exhale. Good. Yes. The idea is that these guys are almost like wearing a corset of sorts, or like an exercise.
Push out, S. Breathe in.
Yes.
Push out, S.
Exactly. And now that S can actually be faster, okay? The exhale, just to make it more noticeable at a palpating or tactile level, you can exhale more like a hurricane kind of sound. Okay, And you guys' job is to press as hard as possible and learn how it feels, you know, that the physiology feels moving, okay, in motion.
How many times are we doing that?
5 times. Good question. Thank you. Yeah, because it's gonna be there's gonna be some strain, created in the muscles. That's why one hack is to use your legs as, pressing power from the sides too. So you got the strength of the arms, but you also have the strength of the. Okay, guys, I'm gonna count down at 5, 4, 3. No tingles. 3, 2, 1. No tickling. Shoulders down. Hold it for 3 seconds. Press out as if you're trying to spit the air through the ribs, and then exhale. Keep pressing firmly. Keep pressing firmly. There you go. Exhale at your own pace. Inhale, hold. Yeah, 5 times. Shoulders down. Press out. Robust. Exhale. Awesome. Good job. Press firmly. I want to see also the face for the people pressing, just like your face. 5 breaths and switch. 5 breaths and switch. Okay? That's it. You count your 5 breaths and switch. Yes, it's very normal that arms will tremble. That's right.
And you were like shaking. Oh my God.
Arms will tremble. That's right. Arms will tremble. No worries. Yes, you gotta be gentle, man. You gotta be gentle. You guys are all in place? You all in place? 5, 4, 3, 2, breathe. Excellent. There you go. Squeeze in. Remember to keep just shoulders down, especially after inhale, bring them down and puff up those ribs. At that hold, you want to press out still even further onto those ribs. Good job. I see those hands moving. That's great. Shoulders down. That's it. 5 breaths. We're good. You good? In fact, good question. Guys, you can also feel some latissimus dorsi. Yes. Thank you. The lats are also tightening and engaging. Yes. Thank you for that.
I actually feel like I'm breathing really deeper now.
Nice. It's like something got unlocked or something kind of got. That's nice. That's good feedback. It creates space. Exactly. And guys, just like the fascia, which we have like 20% of our body, it's fascia right? There's, a lot of fascia, which is nowadays being studied as like a communication network of sorts, and it also holds muscle groups, in place and connects through, delivers messages.
The way I heard it described that always stuck with me is if you could only take one system of your whole body, like so your muscles or your blood vessels or your bones, what would actually represent you the most? What would you still see the person the most with stripping everything?
The fascia.
besides the fascia?
Amazing.
Because even your nose and your ears.
Amazing,
you
bro.
Still see the form of the
Very nice. And it certainly is going to be stock in here as well. Thank you. That's a good representation. So, there you have it. You may have even unlocked something, related to fascia, related to the diaphragm, to create space. So that's great. That's good feedback. First time I hear something like this, I'm so delighted to hear this. Because that's the point, right? That we all feel. Yes. Well, I can also try to explain it like when you are cleaning like chicken before putting it on the grill, that thin layer that kind of feels like there's like fat, but it's not, it's almost like a, thin lining. That's white, huh? Pomegranate. There you go. There you go. So it's kind of like that inside your body, and it's yeah. And it's pretty much what holds everything together, right?
We call it myofascia.
Myofascia, muscle fascia. Yeah. Intricate system that. So it is basically a foundation tissue, you know, that nowadays is being getting more attention and studies. And so anyhow, friends, good job. Let's go back to our original seats and share feedback about this last one. Besides the so besides of the like more space and the unlocking kind of sensation, what else did you notice at a tactile level when you were pressing onto your buddy's ribs, and what did you also feel as you were being pressed on?
I could feel the last one from waist transform.
Uh-huh. There you go. There you go.
For me, it's like just having the hands there pushing in made me realize how much I need to focus and push them out. So whenever I focus
Yes.
on breathing, it's typically through like my belly, but
Nice.
I never think about
Of that
expanding
second.
expanding my ribs.
There you go. So you gain more awareness of the whole areas. That's great. That's good feedback. Thank you both.
Unused real estate. Most people. It's like unused real estate.
Unused real estate. Yes.
Called
Yes.
West breathing. So
Exactly.
many of us, we are aware of belly breathing, but we don't think about our ribs. But your lungs and diaphragm are core to your spine and
Yeah.
And so there's room in your low back,
Exactly.
lateral rib cage to get oxygen.
Exactly. And lucky for those who know what belly breathing is these days, by the way.
So in Pilates,
Yeah.
you know Pilates?
A few times, yeah, in the
So
past.
Pilates, you know, they have you pull down.
That's right.
And cross. You said it's corset.
That's
The
right.
way you breathe is exactly, you know, part of breathing is. Do you want to do Pilates with us? Sure.
There you go. Awesome. So
We're gonna do it online.
great. So cross disciplines, you know, call it yoga, Pilates. I mean, there's other stuff. Even at working out, like gym people who are used to
Bracing.
bracing. Exactly. I learned it as the principle of the empty versus the filled can. Right? You try to step on a filled can, it's going to be tough. It's going to really take a good, strong stump to break it and pour the contents out. But that's how your spine should be under weight under tension, filled can, bracing, exactly. Martial artists, right? Martial arts, they kind of do a little bit of that release, or when they're about to absorb a punch, they, hopefully they have like some air inside so that the whole structure is not compromised, not weak. So that's great. There's so many ways in which we can use air, right? Because ultimately it's air, and then we extract the oxygen from the air, we exhale CO2, which is the byproduct, of the metabolic, the metabolism, how we produce energy, ATP production. Just like the car will burn fuel, and then, through the exhaust will release carbon monoxide. We release carbon dioxide or CO2. Yes, please, bro.
I noticed holding Sarah's ribs, each breath she got more. That was my experience.
Stronger.
Her capacity.
Yeah,
That tactile
that's right.
where to breathe into one's grave.
Yeah.
I do sandbags or back and right. Some people's rib cage will really twist, so you have to see.
There you go, man.
Just practice it.
So it adds that pressure.
Yeah.
Nice.
A couple pounds just to have that sensation.
Very nice. And for those who are not aware, Anu has huge background on postural health, if you will. If there's any other way I could explain it, he knows a lot about the body and how to keep it in alignment, and years and years of experience. That's what I love about Surf Synergy. You're always talking to somebody that brings a wealth of knowledge. I may be talking to a respiratory therapist and I don't know it until they throw a comment that shows me that they know their stuff, and then I ask them and it turns out they were respiratory therapists, all sorts of MDs, and like big knowledgeable people. So I'm very delighted. And 15%, approximately 10-15% of the workshop is actually information provided by you guys that I take notes and I go, thank you, this is going to be another piece for the puzzle. Like when I realized that as babies we are obligated nasal breathers, right? We are all born breathing, well, most of us, I believe, breathing properly through our nasal passages and into our belly, you know, belly first, then ribs. That's the right order. And we're born with that, you know, natural way of breathing, and then we start losing it at, you know, 7, 8 years old, or, you know, more, when we start becoming more aware of the reality that we live in, literally, and bad news on the TV, or parents that were probably a little bit rough, or being bullied at school. There's many reasons why we start shifting our breathing to the chest, which is the survival breath, is the sympathetic breath, is the alertness breath, right?
Is there a relationship with nursing? Just thinking babies with nursing, they have to breathe out their nose because their mouth is suction.
Exactly, like there's something with the musculature of the mouth and the trachea that is not fully developed yet, and that's the reason why naturally they circulate the air through the nostrils. Nasal breathing versus mouth breathing is something we'll discuss soon, but not before we go into the third and last stage of the 3, which is your accessory muscles. And guys, here I want to stop and do a very, this is a very interesting and important, I believe, thought, because for me it was a game changer. Accessory muscles, called by medicine and science accessory muscles of breathing. What does the word accessory tells you? You don't have them on all the time, right? You don't put them all the time. You don't use them all the time. It is only when you need them. That was a breakthrough to me. Typically when you're exerting, physical exertion, when the rate of air and oxygen that it's needed is higher than what you can provide with the first 2, that's when these guys come to play, okay? These are like the big boys of breathing, if you will. These are your backups, okay? Because, again, remember we have more volume on the bottom of the lungs. That means we have more gas exchange in that bottom of the lungs area, right? Then we do the ribs as well to do the lateral and back breathing. But the tip of the lungs, we only fill them and expand them. We only bring air in there when we really need that extra. Other than that, this most likely, most of the times, breathing into this area is sending a message to the brain of alert, sending a message of survival. And we want to limit ourselves from tapping into those unwillingly, unconsciously, as much as possible. Does that make sense? So when you train your belly and your ribs to be the first and second, you're most of the time going to be more centered, more focused, more leaning towards parasympathetic rest, digest, and recover. When you let the breath go up here a lot, and it you know, in an unconscious way, in an autonomic way, it's going to wreak havoc in the nervous system, because that most likely also is going to be paired with mouth and short, so not very deep breaths. Now we're going to bring it to the conscious level, and in this case, the result is different because we are being aware of it, and we're expanding more than the usual, and we're doing it just to complete the equation of 3, or the trilogy of 3-part breath. 3-part breath, okay? That's pretty much. But the order should always be belly first, then ribs, finally, if you need it, accessory muscles. You can call it chest, you can call it thoracic or clavicular. There's different ways that people call them. But we should limit ourselves from breathing here. We should always go here first, and then here second. Okay? So let's do the accessory muscle breathing willingly and voluntarily at a conscious level. You can place a dominant hand on the top and maybe the non-dominant on the bottom, just to make sure that the belly is not, you know, it's not protruding. And guys, this is gonna be probably that pressure is gonna be felt on, you know, kind of like your upper ribs a little bit, and going towards, you know, towards the end of it, of the last 2 ribs, and then shrugging the shoulders, tilting the head back a bit, just to squeeze in that last bit of air that you can. It's going to look and sound like this, okay? And then you drop it, and then you puff up your chest. Drop shoulders, puff up your chest, and then That's it. Let's keep going together. Drop shoulders at the end, puff up your chest. Maybe gentle taps in the sternum and belly flat, right? We're pressing the belly in. We're not letting the air go into the belly. We're visualizing the tip or the top of the lungs expanding upwards towards the end of that inhale, and now that nice exhale. 2 more for good measure, because we may get a little lightheaded on this one. Feel that nice last bit of air coming in through that, there you go. 1 more breath. There might be a little tension caused. We'll do a little stretching after. Nice. You can feel also some ribs expanding in there if you feel and look deep. Okay, so now, just in case, a couple of neck and shoulder stretches. In case there was a little bit of tension created. Squeeze those shoulder blades back. Breathe. The opposite forward. Okay, anybody got a little lightheaded or kind of dizzy on this one by any chance? It is common when you're breathing here because of the tension changes a little bit, and we have the baroreceptors in the carotid artery, and so it catches that kind of like tension, and it kind of compromises a little bit that blood flow to the brain. Okay guys, so we're gonna put them all together into one wave, like a stadium wave, okay? Belly, ribs, and chest in one breath. That'll be your deep breath. Literally your deep breath. When I was a kid, and I'll probably go to the doctor, and the doctor was holding the stethoscope against my thorax, and he'll go, take a deep breath, and I'll go, all up here, right? Now I know deep breath is. 3 stages, right order. First, second, and third. If somebody or yourself needs a deep breath, okay? So I'm going to place myself horizontal in front of you. I'm going to do 2 drills or 2 reps, and then you guys are going to do it. But you're going to do it 5 times through the mouth. So mouth inhale, mouth exhale, and then we're going to switch to nasal, okay? And then when we switch to nasal, there might be some of us that will have a deviated septum, or maybe one nostril will be less active than the other. This is very common. Sometimes it's due to allergies or mucus, sometimes again, deviated septum, but also the body will block and unblock, will switch through nostrils during the day. And this taps into a concept of ancient cultures like the yogic, culture in India and the Tibetan, which talks about the body always looking for that homeostasis at a nervous system level. Each nostril has an impact on the opposite brain hemisphere. So the left, that's why you do the annulum velum, or the nadi shadana, which is the alternate nostril. There's variations and different names in Sanskrit, but the point is to activate both or one more than the other brain hemispheres. Given the fact that the right one, which is controlled by the left nostril, is more of the dreams, perception, intuition, connection, the divine, if you will. And the opposite, the right nostril, controls the left hemisphere. The left hemisphere is more pragmaticism, negotiation, numbers, a little more measuring things, right? And so when you breathe through both, in fact, some cultures believe that when both nostrils are active, so both nostrils are fluid, then is a good time to make a decision that's going to be life-changing or important for you, because both hemispheres are at a good place, right? So you're not being a dreamer, you're not being somebody square, you're being somebody realistic. This is just food for thought and some philosophy on it, because the course has philosophy in it too. Physiology, psychology, and philosophy. So a little bit of philosophy there. Anyhow, we're gonna throw in the 3-stage or full breath or deep breath drill. I'm gonna do 2. Notice how I at some point stop feeling my belly, if you will. Belly, by the way, is just a cue for diaphragmatic breathing because the belly itself cannot hold air, right? It holds organs. But the belly moves, the organs move forward in order for the diaphragm to be able to descend more. That's what happens. Just to know that belly breathing is, and it is not a thing. It is just a cue, or abdominal breathing. In fact, it is diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, so I'm going to be flat in front of you for 2 breaths. One quick tip is try to stop here before you run out of suctioning power or traction, just so you can keep moving up, okay? So try not to go like too much here and then you're like, oh, I don't have the power to keep going up. A little bit here is gonna be enough as long as you engage it. Here I go. There's even 3 slightly different sounds as I tap on each area, right? And that's like 3 different drums, if you will. One more. You're gonna do the same thing 5 times, and then you're gonna switch to nasal breathing. And then, guys, guess what? We are transitioning to this. Good question. Let's actually start with the bolsters, and towards the end of it, we'll remove them. I'll help you. I'll probably pull them aside and store them. Or if you prefer to start without them or use them for your legs, that's fine too. Okay, great. So I want to see all belly, ribs, and chest in that exact order moving as you inhale. Let the exhale be the opposite order, okay? So you even work on further control of your musculature. Start exhaling from your chest, then your ribs, and finally you squeeze the belly in. That'll be the end of your exhale, okay? So O-shaped lips, restricting the airflow, making those muscles to have to work to bring in that air. Very nice. Everybody, I see that nice connection and control. Anu, everybody. This is probably the right time to do it, yeah, before we do the breath hold and stuff. And if anybody would like to take a few minutes to use the restroom, which is very normal when we're doing breathing exercises, yeah, exactly. It's very normal, very common. In fact, when it happens to me, I have to hold it because I cannot leave. I'm the instructor, but you guys can go and then come back, okay? So if you need to, you feel like you may want to go, you should do it now before we go into the last phase of relaxation. I can give you a hand with this. Yeah. You want it under your legs? Okay. Like right at the end of it, right there? There you go, exactly, yeah. So towards the end of the exercise, if you guys want, I can pass through and remove the bolster and whether place it on your legs or just take it completely somewhere else. Yeah, legs? Okay. Huh? Maybe because of the bolster, maybe. You want it on your legs? Yeah, so maybe you're pushing hard on the first stage and then there's not a lot of... Huh, okay. Just try it again. Let me just watch it from this sideways perspective. Huh. Well, first of all, you have to start with empty lungs, right? So you're pulling from the empty lungs. There you go, exactly. I can see some, yeah, you can see it too. We can see your ribs, yeah. But you can still emphasize a little more. See, make it sound like her. Make it sound. Make it sound, that's a good indicator. Anybody else wants a bolster on your legs? Yeah, I'll bring it. You guys want a bolster in your legs? You know, flat rib cage will be, you have a little more space for breathing. Sorry, no worries. Would you? Okay. Okay, you're good. Awesome. Good job, guys. So the idea also for this exercise, if you've already done your 5 mouth breaths, switch to nasal and think of yourselves breathing like this. Of course, again, with a little less emphasis on your chest. In general terms, breathing through the day. Belly and ribs. And if you need it, chest. Why not? But most importantly, belly and ribs. Every day, 4 to 5 seconds in, 4 to 5 seconds out. Every day, all day long. Unless you go on a jog or on a bike ride. And then you start needing a little more chest. And eventually, if you are at a very high pace on your exercise or something really triggers that heart to pump fast, I mean, sometimes we need to open the mouth and just bring in more air through the mouth, right? Because it's a wider airway. It's a wider airway, just like when we yawn. But yeah, sometimes we definitely need to bring in the air through the mouth when we're like, we really need more air, that's fine. But nowadays people are pushing themselves, people who knows that getting that athletic level to the next stop is a thing, then they're forcing themselves to breathe through the mouth. I mean through the nose, nasal passages. And there's many benefits which we'll discuss. We're just waiting for Marcus to come down and incorporate himself to the practice, and then we are working through relaxation now, guys. So maybe throw 5 more breaths. Marcus, full mouth in, mouth out breaths with the belly, ribs, and chest, and then transition to nasal breathing. You can throw in, just to kind of catch up and compensate, a handful of sighs, physiological sighs. You can actually start with the sighs and then connect with so 5 sighs. And I can place those in your, okay, there you go, got it? Okay. So 5 physiological sighs. 5 sighs, and then connect with mouth, inhale, exhales, belly, ribs, and chest. There you go. As for everyone else, we are now transitioning to the relaxation phase, which is based on tidal breathing. Tidal breathing is the breath that you don't push. Your tidal breathing now, your normal breathing rate and volume should be at a better place now, where you should feel more relaxed, more natural, more connected than before. Chances are you were doing good. Well, you're doing better now. And you just feel the air going through the nostrils. Feel the sensation of the air going through the nostrils. Would you like a little towel for your eyebrows? Yeah. Anybody else would like to have a towel in case the sun is hitting your face? We can place a towel across your eyes so the sun doesn't bother. So far, one person. There's little spaces between the curtains where the sun will penetrate. You're welcome. You guys good? Okay, so feel the air caressing the nostrils, even to the point where you probably even feel the nasal hair vibrating a little bit. Feel how the air enters your lungs and fills your lungs. We're slowing down the pattern, yet we're very connected. We're keeping the right order, belly and ribs, less chest now. As Marcus is also catching up quickly with us. And now Marcus is doing the belly, ribs, and chest through the nostrils with a little bit of intention and exertion, if you will, to then bring it down to the more tidal volume relaxation. You can still throw in that Darth Vader-ish sound, the Ujjayi breath, deep throat, ocean sound pattern on the exhale. Good. Feel how those lungs are now more flexible, those muscles around the lungs, again, the diaphragm, the intercostals, even the abdominal and the obliquus are more relaxed, but yet connected. They're just more aware and connected. So it's like the breath has loosened up a little bit and it's just more fluent. There's more flow through every breath. And as we go through this phase of relaxation, guys, I'm going to pass by and ask you to adopt a Shavasana pose, which is your palms should be next to you looking up. And as your palms are looking up next to you, I'm going to pour a drop of lavender oil on your right hand. If you're all good with it, then you just rub the back of your ears with that drop of lavender. So lavender is a very soothing scent for the nervous system. This is just enhancing the relaxation. Guys, set an intention for your next breath hold. Remember that the last breath in is going to be your best breath. That's going to include all of what you've just warmed up, learned, and practiced in this last hour and so. So it's going to have to be a very nice belly, ribs, and chest. Inhale, okay? And then you hold it for as long as you can. Remember that raising the hand when you have to breathe again. And I'll give you a couple tools before we start. This is going to be your visualization techniques, which backed up by science now points at basically you co-creating your reality by visualizing yourself being the version of yourself that you will. At whatever hobby, sport, art form, anything that you practice, that you apply in your life, your modus vivendi, your work, your sport, your art, again, something that brings joy to you, visualize yourself in that epic moment, achieving your best personal, crossing that finish line with good results, or just presenting a very beautifully made dish for a guest at your place if you like to cook, or performing that beautiful swing at golf or anything, or that nice lifting move with that weight you've been aiming for, and you do it with proper form and you feel good about something that again you can visualize vividly in your head. Spend some time there, okay? You can also count numbers very slow in your head. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippis, 3 Mississippis. You can also focus on the way the wind blows and caresses through your skin and really pay attention to how it feels. You can feel the music, the birds, just sounds and sensations that are pleasant, okay? I encourage you to go into that path, to go into that journey of distracting yourself in a positive way so you don't pay attention to the clock ticking in your head asking, oh, where am I at this moment? Is it 1 minute? Am I going to be able to last longer? Remove those thoughts and focus on those pleasant thoughts and sensations. Again, visualization, counting numbers, focusing on sounds, or going to any other happy place you like. You can have your own technique. I'm going to start by pouring that lavender oil in your hand. You can just rub. Most likely going to aim for the index finger, so you can rub that lavender in the back of your ears. We keep working on relaxation, guys. You can also emit, if you like, that S sound. Rub the back of your ears so you can perceive that scent. Or anywhere else where you feel that lavender scent is going to be noticed by the nose. There you go. Very relaxing, soothing scent. You good, right, Anu? Okay. Okay, friends, now that we have that lavender, we'll do 5 more breaths with nasal, belly, and ribs. Ujjayi Ocean, deep throat sound. Pick your visualization technique. Pick your breath holding journey technique. Smile, because that also triggers the release of feel-good hormones. Remind yourself that what you're doing today, it's epic. It is extraordinary. It is different. It is great for you, for your psyche, for your physique, for your emotions. And let's throw in now a handful of sighs with sound. More than a handful. Let's throw in at least 7, 8, 9, 10 sighs. And now I'll ask you to push through a little bit through those sighs, okay? Push through those sighs, you know, at a muscular level. At this time, at this moment, you should be looking for relaxation. The less you move, the better. You're only spending energy in those sighs and nothing else. You don't spend unnecessary energy that's going to take away from your breath hold. Just sighing. Sighing. Couple more sighs, and friends, I'm going to start a countdown. Remember, when I say number 1, that's when everyone at unison takes that last breath in, belly, ribs, and chest fully in, full lung capacity, and holds. We're going, friends. 10, 9, keep sighing, a couple more of those. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, start with empty lungs. 3, 2, so you can exhale fully, and 1. Let's go. And off we go. Good job, everybody. We should all be holding by now. Good job, everybody. Time is flying. From head to toes, fully relaxed. 30 seconds in. From toes to head, fully disengaged, loosening up the musculature. Finding pleasure in breath holding, finding ease and peace in breath holding. And that was 1 minute, my friend. And that was 1:04, my friend. That was 1:06. And we keep going. And this is 1:20. Good job, everybody. We are putting seconds on top of seconds. This is 1:30. And this is 1:35. We are at 1:45, only 15 seconds away from 2 minutes. And this is 1:50. 1:50, almost 2 minutes. And this is 1:55, 1:57, bro. 1:57. And this is 2:03. 2:03. Broke the 2-minute barrier right there. And we still have one person holding, I believe. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And this is 2:28. In and out strong. Everybody just throwing in a few cycles of mouth breathing, in and out strong. Awesome. Okay, so how do we feel And did we put more seconds on top of the first breath hold? Yes. 1 minute more. Wow. 50 seconds more. 30 seconds more, something like that. That's great. Yes, and you can keep working on it. And there's more to do. There's more to go. Sorry? This is actually my background. Yeah, this is, so surfing and freediving, we're joined, to bring this to you guys. Well, best personal 505 at a swimming pool. On Thursday, we're going to have the pool workout, and some of you are going to be amazed on the difference between holding the breath here and holding the breath in water, and how much this will change your perception. And you'll go, how come, some of you are going to go, how come I held my breath for 2 minutes and 3 seconds? And I felt like, I got to it, but like pushing it a little more in water. Like it was not as easy as, and some of you will go, I did 1 minute on the deck and I did 2 minutes in the water. You know what I mean? It's crazy. You'll see. Some of you may connect differently with water. Huh? Theoretically speaking, technically speaking, that mammalian dive reflex kicks in water. So, but again, there's some people that for some reason I have done the constant weight and with the rope, line yard connected to the rope, no fins, with weight belt, without weight belt. But it's been a while because I started doing it for spearfishing because I needed to bring my safety level to, notch up in case, anything happened, because I lost a couple of buddies. And so one of the blacked out, no one to rescue them. They're just, one common thing in spear, a couple of them, yeah. Unfortunately, it's a very dangerous sport, free diving, spearfishing. Because when you see a fish underwater, you may be like towards the end of your breath hold and you haven't seen anything and you're ready to come up, and all of a sudden a fish appears and you forget about everything. You're like blank. You're like, oh, the fish. And then you're supposedly ready to come up because you're like needing to breathe, and then you go, oh no, but the fish is here. That's when it gets you, Well, you lose the motor control. You do like what they call a samba, and then you start releasing the air because there's no muscle control because you're in low levels of oxygen, deep hypoxia or hypoxic levels. And the next thing is the response from the brain that disconnects everything to save itself, right? And then eventually it'll probably be a comeback just to assess and see how things are doing for a second or two. But then usually on that comeback, when the brain restores the connection, there is a gasp reflex. And then that's when you swallow water and throw water into the lungs. And
Is it like a sport?
yeah, it is a sport. But free diving is more of a sport than spearfishing. And it's crazy, yeah. But if you do it by the book, you'll be fine. But people get excited. I have, almost. Well, just briefly, I shot a big tuna, and when I was retrieving the tuna, because when you shoot it, you have that shaft connected through a line to a buoy, through a float, and so you don't just go after the fish. You just shoot it. The fish goes crazy, goes to the depths, or goes everywhere, and then you go up towards the line and into the buoy, and then start from the buoy retrieving the fish little by little. Kind of like playing the fishing game where you want to make the fish tired. Sorry for the vegans, I'm sorry. But it's part of our evolutionary, anyhow. Well, and then all that slack that you're creating by pulling that rope is like laying around you. More and more rope is floating around you. And if you don't pay attention, you may have a lace around your leg. And that's what happened to me. And so when I brought the fish, I grabbed the shaft, pull the fish towards me, and you're supposed to finish the fish in the head with a knife, right? Stab it. And when I went for the stab, I did, and the fish just took off super fast. And we're talking about a 75-pounder tuna. A lot of like tunas, even a 30-pounder will pull you to the depths. That was a big one. And it just took off. And all of a sudden, I just heard kind of like underwater, like, and that was the slack like tightening it around my ankle, and all of a sudden I just felt like and here I go, like I don't know how many kilometers per hour. I believe I did like 30 something feet in like 10 seconds, like going like thinking like, what is going on? Am I going, is it for me? Am I going to die here, literally? And I'm like, no, you don't allow yourself. You know, when you think quick, you see everything like on a matrix kind of, time slows down kind of. I'm telling myself, think quick, buddy, because this is going to be like fatal if you don't. And then I don't have a knife because the knife was in the fish's head where I can actually cut myself free. So I'm like, you have to do something else. So all that pressure wouldn't allow me to bend my torso to get to my legs. So somehow I started like climbing against the force of the centrifuge forces, climbing my leg into the thing, into the nut where there is a clip that I could see, luckily on the internal face of my ankle. And then I started, you know, messing with that clip, and I finally disengaged it, and the thing went. But I still were so hard-headed to hold on to that thing at depth, like my heart pumping like this. Like, I'm like, no, $100 shaft and a 70-pound tuna is not gonna, I'm not gonna lose it. And then I started kicking off with all my soul, but I was towards the end of my breath hold, man. I could have literally, I almost passed away. And so when well, my older friend was spearing a tuna like 30 feet away, and then the boat was like deciding which one to help first. And so they went and delivered or received the fish from my friend, and then they noticed that I surfaced and I was kind of like waving like this, and then they came to me quick, and I handed them that end of the line, like, hold on to this. And when they looked at me, they're like, dude, you're impaled. And then they just grabbed me. They knew that something must have happened because I was cyanotic, which is, you know, oxygen in my arteries were non-existent. It was all blue. I was pale like Casper, and they just grabbed me by the wetsuit, pulled me into the boat. And literally when I surfaced, I was telling myself, you're not passing out, you're not passing out, you're not passing out, you know, like repeating, like, you gotta believe it, man. Took my mask off, let the air circulate through my eyebrows, the trigeminal nerve in the face gets that signal of air, and you're supposed to, you know, it triggers the breathing response more. So anyhow, it's just a whole deal. And then my friends almost killed me. They almost killed me because I could have ruined the whole damn day by just being hard-headed and holding on to that fish and not letting it. It could have, yeah. I could have, if I would have just, when I noticed that the thing unwrapped around me, I would have just go up, like forget about everything else. But no, it's that instinct that kind of told me, no, you're still bringing the fish with you, okay? It's like that ego that sometimes can kill you. That's a good, yeah, so, you know, it was worth it, but it could have, But that's how easy things can go wrong underwater. That's how easy things can go wrong underwater. That's how easy things can go wrong underwater. Now I carry two. I carry one in my waist and one in the internal legs. So no, but again, you know, it was through a lack of attention with that slack that I was creating. Nowadays, guys, it took me like a year to go back and do it again. I was traumatized. I didn't tell my wife for a whole year. And when I told them, it was by mistake because I was in front of some friends, you know, remembering the story, and she's looking at me like, I don't remember you telling me that. When did that happen? Do you mean you almost like killed yourself because of ego? I'm not proud about that story, honestly. I use it more as a analogy, you know. So yeah, yeah, and so yeah, so spearfishing. But again, guys, listen. We train ourselves to be more functional with these things, and then when things like that happen, you know, like whether it's a wave, you know, 4 wave set breaking on your head and sending you down to the, you know, to the bottom, all of a sudden you go, wow, I survived through this. Was it out of pure will or maybe some practice, you know, some training? And so the combination of things for sure. So what we did today was great. Yeah, it was not my time, thankfully. Yeah, I still feel like I need, to do good things here in this earth. And so friends, let's sum it all up into a practical 5 to 7 minute exercise you can do at home before your, or at the gym or at the shala, before your Pilates, your workouts. Guys, 1 minute belly breathing or diaphragmatic. 1 minute, okay? Then 1 minute of intercostal with your own hands, okay? With your own hands. Try it with your own hands. So let's recap. Let's go back to the belly. Shoulders down, belly forward on that inhale. Hold for 3 seconds. Exhale. Squeezing that belly in, all the way in. Great. Intercostal. On your own ribs, putting pressure with your own hands and squeezing in. Great. Now, accessory muscles right here. Puff up your chest. Roll the shoulders down. That's pretty much it. 3 minutes, right? 1, 2, 3. Now 1 minute of full breaths. Deep breath. Be very emphatic with your body language and make it be noticeable that you're working through stages. Start with the belly, then kind of start, like if you're growing wings of the sides, and then finally you're shrugging up the chest and dropping it, puffing your chest up, and so that's your full breath, right? Your deep breath. That's 4 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you can lay and just relax and just put your timer on and take 1 deep breath and do 1 breath hold. 1 breath hold. Then recover after that breath hold with some mild hyperventilations. Sorry. Just to get rid of that extra CO2 that build up on your breath hold, and that's it. Then you go out, you maybe throw a few sighs, you go out. That thing only, if you have 2 athletes, for instance, and they're both at the same level, they're always both doing the same routine, coming up with the same results, and one is paying more attention to breath and maybe does a little bit of this before practice or before match, there's a little increase right there in performance, whether you believe it or not. It will be. So that's another element that you can add to your wellness endeavors and your physical and mental health. Guys, before we wrap it up, shall we discuss nasal versus mouth breathing really quick? Benefits of nasal breathing, anyone? I like to do it interactive.
Slows your breathing down.
Yes.
There's the air.
Yes, exactly. Since the mouth is a wider airway, you tend to go, because there's more air coming in, so that kind of causes that sensation of just, easier, but it's a little harder through the nose, and it slows down the breathing rate. And guys, a good breathing rate nowadays, the lower actually the better, slowing down the breaths per minute. I should say anywhere from 10 to 12 is a really, really good rate. If you're like 15, 16, 18, you're over breathing. Let's put it that way. Do that test on your own. There are exercises that are meant to slow down your breath as much as possible, like the Buteyko exercises, created by this Russian doctor that noticed a pattern on his, what's the name for the people who is about to just check out? Terminal patients, and the breathing rate will increase drastically towards those last minutes, okay? So based on that, he noticed, well, they seem to be like really accelerating their breathing rates towards the end of their lives. How about if we try the opposite, right? At a philosophical, physiological way to actually increase lifespan and health. And so he started just playing with the least cycles you can do within a minute, boiling it down to even 1 breath per minute. Can you imagine that? You can try it. 2 breaths per minute, 3 breaths. I'm pretty sure you all can do at least 4 breaths per minute. If you just, it's all muscle control, right? This is exactly one of the things that we did here today was muscle control. Now this breath will be imperceptible. You won't really hear it because it's slow, so slow coming in. It's almost like lowering a big dagger, a big sword into a sheath slowly, into a leather sheath slowly, and then removing it. That's kind of like how you want to visualize that type of breath. And then you start your stopwatch and you count how many cycles, which is a cycle is inhale, exhale, you do per minute. and do that exercise. It's pretty cool. I love it, and it teaches you to slow down your breath. Also, that's another exercise you can do on your own. So slowing down the breath, maybe not at that rate always, but slow it down a bit more. 4 to 5 seconds in, 4 to 5 seconds out in general terms. Running it through the nostrils and starting always at the diaphragm and moving up as you need it is the takeaway, guys, for this workshop. And the fact that 80% of the population nowadays are breathing short, shallow, and through the mouth, and a lot of times the nerve-wracking scenarios and the anxiety finds their root in that dysfunctional breathing pattern. So when we flip the equation, we tend to get more level-headed. You know, our moods, our nervous system gets soothed. So that's another takeaway. And the fact that that we can bring this home and practice and just bring the breath to the conscious level, work with it as we did today, and then let it sit for a day or two. Then come back to it, work with it a little more, let it sit again for a few days. That's how we start tying the nuts of the dysfunctional breathing patterns that sometimes affects us, oftentimes affects us. So not to say that we also gain more volume whenever we need that volume, exerting a physical exercise, and we have means to also down-regulate ourselves when we need it. We're having a stressful day, we take a few minutes and sit somewhere, just do some diaphragmatic breathing. Sighing is great too. I love sighing. Extending your exhales on that S sound is part of it as well, because exhales are by nature more calming, more parasympathetic. So if you exhale, you keep an exhale longer, you're keeping the heart rate going lower. But nasal breathing, so slowing the breathing rate, that's one. Anybody else can find advantage of nasal breathing just to make more sense of it? Yes, it is so, because when you inhale through the nasal passages, there's the air humidifies or moistens, and the alveoli is the air sacs with capillaries in your lungs, are more receptive to humid air than dry air to absorb oxygen. So there's one reason why.
That you generate nitric oxide.
Man, I don't want to say this, but you read my mind. Yes, nasal nitric oxide is released into the bloodstream, and NO, or nitric oxide, is a vasodilator. So thank you so much. This is great. See, that's insight from a health and wellness coach right there. And then as you dilate your arteries, you get better blood diffusion through the whole body. And your capillaries and everything will deliver more blood because they just have more flow. Nitric oxide, more oxygenation. That's right, beautiful. Anything else? Fun fact about nitric oxide, Lou Guinero was the guy who discovered nitric oxide in 1995. He won a Nobel Prize for that. He's a US physician, and he was, awarded with the Nobel Prize because nitric oxide just did wonders for, the blue pill. It comes from, basically that's what it is. It causes a huge vasodilation it just doesn't happen like this. It needs the stimuli, right? The stimuli, yeah. In fact, that's one of the things that people accredited, him for, because he saved a lot of marriages, let's put it that way. The guy, Lou Guinero, was awarded by discovering nitric oxide and its applications to health and ED and many other things. In fact, high performance, especially endurance athletes, are taking like microdosing of sildenafil the blue pill to increase nitric oxide, to increase blood flow through the body. Yeah, nowadays it is a trend. Like ultra runners and cyclists, they're taking a quarter of a blue pill just to, altitude disease or sickness is also aided by carrying a little blue pill in your backpack, not necessarily for sexual purposes, but very interesting, huh? I know. And you may get as a plus, you may get, anyhow. So it was awarded also the Molecule of the Year, that nitric oxide, in 1995, along with the Nobel Prize, Lou Guinero. So nitric oxide oxygenation, lowering your breathing rate, and also, guys, filtering. which is basically protecting the lungs from pathogens and anything that can wreak havoc in the lungs, which is the treatment plant, is our sacred space for you know, the life production gas, or life-sustaining gas, oxygen. So guys, it happens through the first line of defense, which is the nasal hair, which some of us tend to trim. I try not to anymore unless it's exposing, it's showing, then I kind of cut it a little bit, but then everything else I just leave intact because I know the importance. And so that's the first one, where bigger airborne particles, you know, bacteria, you know, pathogens gets trapped, and then it results into snot or buggers. Then if that's how youngsters call it, right? Then if it goes through, is that an old-fashioned word? Well, then if it goes through, the next line of defense is the cilia and the mucosa. Mucosa is a humid, gooey layer that just binds, you know, stuff to it, and then it goes back to the end of the throat where it gets swallowed, and then the stomach acids will neutralize it. So just a little insight on nasal breathing. Guys, nasal breathing is king or queen. Mouth breathing, swimming, public speech, training as we did, and singing. That's it. And eating and kissing, that's pretty much it. And nasal passages for smelling, breathing, that's it, basically. Anything that you like to ask or say, we're pretty much done. And
Thank you so much.
it was a great practice by you guys as well. Everybody was so engaged, and I think we're good. It's 5 o'clock where we're supposed to finish, and thank you so much for attending.